So we're here to recap the second chapter of Life Makeover, which is actually an extension of the first. So we're gonna go through the last one really quickly and then we'll get into this one. Okay, so we met some people last time. This is Ashley, she's our sister. This is Gerald. I have a lot to say about him, so we're gonna talk about him. We met Beth, and she is in a girl group along with Julia and also Annie. Yeah, we're gonna get into the chapter, but I noticed something. The temperature in this cold storage that we got trapped in with Julia is minus 8 degrees Celsius, and that's odd because the recommended temperature for a fridge is 3 to 5 plus degrees Celsius, and recommended temperature for a freezer is minus 18 down to 25 degrees Celsius. So what is this room for? Okay, so that's the story so far. We arrived at the villa with Ashley, we met Gerald, and then we met the girl group. They're called Black Sugar. We learned that all of the girl group's clothes had been damaged after arriving on the island. So we're stopping in to be their stylist for the trip, and we're gonna lend them clothes. Then we got trapped with Julia in the weirdly refrigerated cold storage, which led us to believe that there's someone on the island that's trying to hurt us. So to make things worse, the girl group appears to be under very severe online attack. Now, Gerald is trying to trace the source, but he hasn't succeeded yet. So all in all, the vacation is turning into a nightmare. So with all that, we're ready to continue our journey through this Life Makeover story. So let's jump in. So we're dreaming, and the dream is one that we have apparently had many times before, and that dream is about DNA flowers. So as we approach the flower to inspect, we're transported to a lab, or perhaps it's a greenhouse, we're not sure, but we see a chest, so we approach it, and floating above the chest is something that looks like a key card. It might be an employee badge or something, we're not sure, but it looks like it's our dad that's on the picture. So then the building starts to collapse all around us as we're engulfed in flames. Then we're transported, and we're not sure where, but apparently it smells very bad. The doors in front of us, they open, and we see a small figure inside. "Wait, stay there," we say, but they ignore us. Okay, we're awake now, so we head down for breakfast. Ashley asks us, did you sleep well? And we say we slept like a baby, so the dream really wasn't traumatic in spite of the very ominous vibes. So almost everyone is here, but we noticed that Beth, she's missing from breakfast. Annie tells us that Beth usually wakes up very early because she has this whole skincare routine that she does in the morning, so it's kind of odd that she isn't there. And Julia, of course, cries. So we all agree to go and look for Beth. Beth is not in her room, but the doors to the outside are wide open. As we step into the room, we trip over a very large teddy bear that's just there on the floor. So as we're falling, we're caught by Gerald, and we're having an Electric Touch Pride and Prejudice sort of moment, but not as good. And we thank Gerald for catching us because, and I quote, "I almost got disfigured. Lizzie Bennet would never." So as we blame the bear for all of our problems, Annie tells us that the bear is a very lucky charm for Beth, and she has had that bear for a long time. Julia then fat shames the bear by saying that it seems weirdly shaped. and then the teddy bear gets a chapter. Looking closer at the bear, something seems really off about it. And it's not just a teddy bear, it's actually a terrifying teddy bear. Yeah, it even says so in the game. What makes the bear terrifying? Beth is trapped inside the bear, and she has been hit over the head. She's really hurt. Beth is going to tell us about her attack, but instead of focusing on that, we decide to make an outfit. So we're gonna get to you, Beth. This is my time. Okay, now we can listen to Beth. So we ask Beth, how are you doing? And she's not doing well. She thinks that her attacker was a man, but it was very dark and she can't be sure. But before she knew it, she was out cold and she had been hit over the head. Neither Ashley nor Gerald can find anything suspicious about the crime scene, besides the fact that Beth was attacked and stuffed into her own bear, left for dead. But these geniuses at least can say that it seems likely that the culprit entered through the wide open doors to the balcony. Well done, guys. Once again, there are a lot of haters that have sent messages on Beth's phone after the attack. Just like Julia got messages after the fridge incident yesterday, Gerald tells her, give me the phone so he can look into it. And while we wait, we check Vanna for the latest trends. So we make an outfit that will work for our afternoon tea. Once again, we are on the topic of haters. Okay, so Gerald is still working on tracing the whole online attacks from haters on the phone, but he's kind of slow. Beth is really angry and she blames Annie for the teddy bear attack, and she also blames Annie for all of the online attacks that have happened in relation to the attacks on the girl group. Now, according to Beth, all of this has happened because the haters actually hate Annie, and Annie is the reason for the online hate. Beth also tells everyone that Annie's drink was once spiked with glue, but Annie doesn't want to talk about that, so she gets very angry and she runs off, and Ashley follows her. We say, we should call the police. That's a good option. And Beth doesn't really want to call the police because she says that it's going to ruin her cute girl group image. So, speaking of image, we styled Beth for the live stream they're hosting tonight. Beth wants to look mature, simple, and elegant. Also Julia cries. Okay, so it's later in the evening, and we're watching the live stream with Ashley, and you could never tell that the girl group was fighting today. They look very happy and excited. They don't have a care in the world. Ashley tells us that this is the power of friendship, and I think it's the power of fame, but we don't tell Ashley that. So Ashley wants to talk about all of the suspicious activity of the day with us, and she wants to do some profiling. So we talk about it, and we say that the girl group is definitely the target of these attacks, and we think it's someone who knows the layout of the villa, because they knew how to get into the weird fridge room, and they also know how to get into the bedrooms, and also they're a hater. So, after our meeting of the minds, Ashley says that since Julia and Beth have been attacked, Annie is probably next. So, we are like the Dr. Watson to her Sherlock Holmes, and we're gonna solve this case with fashion. What is the secret? I don't know what the secret is. So we tell Ashley that we want to be her Dr. Watson, officially, and meaning that we want to join her agency and we want to work with her to solve cases. Ashley says no, because we shouldn't give up on our own dreams. What dream is that? we want to go to Parsons School of Design. Ashley says that styling and being a designer is much more exciting than being a famous detective anyway, which I disagree, Ashley. Okay, so we're still talking to Ashley, and she tells us that she is going to show us her mind palace. No, it's not a real mind palace, but actually it is an app that connects to your Vana, and it's a little confusing, but through styling within this sort of digital space, Ashley says that we can, quote, elicit sentiments from others so that we can collect it, meaning those sentiments, which will give us insight into who they are. Ashley says that we're really great at collecting this type of data because people trust me, and that sounds useful for a private detective. So while we're talking, we see that Ashley has a picture of her family in her room, and this is where we learned that our parents died in an accident when we were just kids. Ashley has always taken care of us and has been sort of a parental figure, and Ashley says that it's very important that we keep following our dreams and to live our life to the fullest because our parents had their lives cut short. Anyway, it's fashion time. Yeah, we're just talking to Ashley again. So it's her birthday apparently at midnight, and to celebrate, Gerald knocks on our door and tells us that he wants to put a tracking device on us. Well, not really, but what he actually says is that he wants us to activate our robot alarm system within our phone, and it connects to the security in the villa so that if our door is breached or we sound distress near our phone, like it doesn't even have to be within a phone call or anything, the phone will pick this up and it will call the police. So we talked about Gerald's tracking tech in the last episode. Quick recap, Gerald has invented something called Robot AI, which has a lot of functions, and one of those functions is that it will always be able to track your phone, even if it is out of signal range, as long as there's battery left. Okay, so this tech can track movement, and it can also connect to security systems automatically and will call police at the sound of distress. So if this tech exists, we also have to accept that this tech could be hackable. So let's stay with that for a second. Imagine that someone hacks all of the phones containing Gerald's tech and makes it so that any tone of voice will be interpreted by the AI as distressed, which would overload the system with distress calls. That would cripple emergency services, possibly for a whole country or a whole town. So what else can we use the tech for, once we're done destroying emergency services? You want to track down some important people, leaders of the country? Just hack Gerald's tech. You can find anyone. If this tech falls into the wrong hands, really do take a second and imagine what kind of damage could be done. This technology is so dangerous, and what makes it even more dangerous is that this tech is in the hands of this man, this tech genius, who has spent 2 business days on trying to locate the source of the bots that are feeding online hate for a girl group. Okay, well, we don't care about that in the story, and Gerald asks us, what do you want for your birthday? And we tell him we just want that tech. So maybe, hopefully we're planning on safeguarding the tech from the evil powers that would seek it in order to destroy the world. Give me that tech. Ashley tells us that there is a birthday surprise at the beach for us at midnight, and she invites Gerald to come too. So then there is another knock at the door. Julia invites herself and the girls to the midnight birthday party beach celebration extravaganza, and that's the whole chapter. Okay, so now we're all heading to a spa for some reason. I'm confused. I'm also a little bit bummed out because I took a bunch of beach photos before reading the chapter. Anyway, we're walking down the hallway when the lights go out. Julia's scared because Julia is always scared, but Gerald says we need to find the switchboard. And I think that he means fuse box, but whatever, maybe he needs to make a call. So, I don't know why there isn't any staff at this spa. I think the translation is probably a little off, but it's funnier to take things at face value, so we're gonna do that. So Gerald fixes the lights, and suddenly we hear a loud scream. Everyone is shocked. It's Annie. She's face down on the floor. Beth is sitting beside her and she looks horrified. And what's worse is that Annie isn't breathing. This spa is a bad place. Annie isn't breathing, and we can tell that this is because her tongue has gotten stuck down her throat at the point of impact. So I guess we fix that, and because Annie is breathing again, but she's still unconscious. So Gerald picks Annie up and carries her to her room, and Ashley tags along with them. So we're still at the spa with Beth and Julia. Beth is injured, but it's kind of unclear what's happened. We call an ambulance manually because Gerald's tech apparently doesn't work. Beth is really upset, but she's not telling us what happened, or at least not yet. And we got a really bad feeling. And Beth is crying. She's sitting beside us, and we decide to style an outfit on our phone. R.I.P. Annie, you would have loved this outfit for the spa. If this was a Friends episode, it would be called The One Where Gerald is Above the Law. So in this chapter, we search for clues with Gerald, and we use another one of his tech inventions, which is technology that scans crime scenes for vital information and creates a summary within our phone. But we don't learn a lot, except for that the attacker hit Annie with a music award and fled through the window into the courtyard. Also, they're a hater. So the story could end here, but I want to take a second and talk about the nonsense that went down here in the spa. So we're checking the scene for clues, and Gerald says, "You're not a real detective, you're a fashion designer." And we're like, "Oh, but our sister is a great detective, so we know how to do this." And Gerald's like, okay. No, that's not okay. What if Annie dies and her killer walks free because a woman who tripped on a human-sized teddy bear wanted to play detectives? Sit with that for a moment, really take it in. Also, we need to talk about Gerald again. We need to talk to him. So, Gerald, you thought it was a good idea to create tech for scanning crime scenes for evidence and have that tech filter out things that could be important? Tell me the specifics of the search parameters, just like real quick. You want to tell me about how this tech could be swayed into incorrect profiling or, to dismiss evidence? You want to tell me how easy that is? You want to talk about dystopia, Gerald? I think you do want to talk about dystopia because you seem to be responsible for a whole bunch of tech that has the potential to destroy the world. Also, there's this nonsense. Annie's phone is on the floor, and Gerald suggests that we look through it because he has a tech, of course, that will unlock it without a passcode. And, we say, that's not cool, because it's personal. And Gerald says, but this is important. And we're like, oh, okay. No, that's not okay. Hey, Gerald, I don't know if you heard, but there are actual laws that protect privacy. And even if you're a police officer, you'd have to get approval to unlock a phone. So why does Gerald get to decide when it's okay? Do you have a warrant for Annie's phone, Gerald? No? Then you leave it alone. Laws were broken. Annie is unconscious. Beth is looking very suspicious, to say the least. And that's the end of the chapter. I hope you liked it. Please leave a like if you did like it. Thanks for watching. This teddy bear has to be absolutely massive.